One of the things I'm doing recently is I'm putting together an article about Generation Y and comparing their engagement to the different generations of engagement. And one of the most interesting things that I found is that Generation Y, out of all the other generations, the other 4 generations that are in play in the workplace, Generation Y says that they have the equipment and the materials to do their job right. Whereas baby boomers and the other generations say I'm lacking, and I think one of the reasons for that is that I think it's the challenges of the what do you call it? The employer.
Right.
Yeah, the employer's job is not necessarily to provide this stuff. Everyone is saying that as soon as you hire a Generation Y person, you need to have that equipment available for them right away. And what we found with all of our data is that
that's not true.
Yeah, it's not true. It's irrelevant because anything that you're going to give them is behind what they're using at home. So really, the real task of the employer is not to provide it, but to just allow them to have access to it during the day.
I got you.
And in fact,
so I did a session on social networks.
Yeah.
And were you in it? I can't remember because we were in
No,
a
I
couple
wasn't.
sessions.
I wanted to come
Yeah.
find it, but I couldn't find it.
So this was the exact topic, and my premise is okay. And I'm an Xer, right? I'm cusp Xer boomer.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm on the cusp X or Y.
Yeah. And I think you're right. I think that employers should just chill and they should just let people do what they need to during the day. And there's some interesting research that shows that if you let people like surf, quote unquote, or is the new term find,
Yeah.
right? Like 20 to 25% of their time,
Absolutely.
they're much more productive. And that Ys, millennials, right? They're going to always be ahead of us anyway, so we should just chill. We should just let people do their Facebook and do everything. Now, Gallup's research would prove that?
Yeah, actually Gallup's research overwhelmingly proves that out of all 4 generations,
Yeah.
that Generation Y says more than all the other generations, I have the materials to do my job correctly, which is the #1 question that ties back to engagement. Is that do I have the materials and equipment to do my job correctly? And out of all the other generations, Yers are 17% more likely to say yes than all the other generations.
Wow.
Which is an baby boomers are the most often to say no, I don't have the equipment. But I think the reason is that that Yers don't expect you to supply it. They know how to go out and get it. They know how to go out and find it. So I think the real challenge, like you said, is just let them do it. And there's something to be said about saying my company trusts me. My company trusts me to be wise with my time. My company trusts me to do the right thing, to be smart about how I use my time on the job. So I think that's really the big thing. A lot of it's a lot of people are saying a lot of anecdotal stuff,
right.
But the real, this is something interesting. Generation Y and traditionalists are the most similar.
Oh, wow. So my 82-year-old dad in a nursing home
Yes.
is very similar to the 24-year-old that was in my session earlier.
The ones that are still at work today, yeah, they haven't retired but are still working. They are the most similar in their engagement levels to Generation Y.
Huh.
But the biggest gap is between between the baby boomers and Generation Y. Which the interesting thing is that almost always you have baby boomers that are managing Generation Y. So that's where a little bit of the disconnect is, and where I think some of the education can come, is that baby boomers, this is something interesting from our surveys as well, had thousands and thousands of respondents. Baby boomers that hate their job, we call them actively disengaged, where they're actually tearing down the environment around them.
Yes.
Baby boomers are still more likely to say, I'll be at my job in 1 year, than the Generation Y people who are engaged. And so engagement does affect how long a Generation Y person will stay there. The baby boomers who are managing the Generation Y, I think they need to get the concept that, man, unless they're meeting all that, they will leave. Because baby boomers are far more likely to stay. It's really an incredible statistic to look at.